Hi, guys. Welcome to Own Your Essence, the podcast where healing meets empowerment. I'm your host, April DeMille, a psychic medium and a life coach specializing in grief, trauma, and toxic relationship recovery. This is a space for deep conversations, powerful transformations, and raw healing. Each week, we'll dive into soul centered topics like psychic mediumship, the supernatural, metaphysical wisdom, emotional grief, addiction, mental health, spiritual wellness, and self discovery. Through inspiring interviews and personal insights, this podcast is here to spread awareness, spark connection, and support your healing journey. If you're ready to set boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and step into your true power, you're in the right place. Let's own your essence together. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. I am your host, April DeMille, and today we are going to be joined by Kyle Miller. He is a personal empowerment coach guiding evolution from healing to transformation. One second. Oh, okay. This time it's working. I'm so choppy today. Anyway, hi. So
Hi.
I just read your introduction, but I think it'd be better if you could tell the audience who you are and all the awesome stuff that you're putting out in the world and how you got there.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really specialize in helping people that have gone through narcissistic abuse. And what got me here is I went through an abusive relationship for about 14 years and a lot of struggles in getting help and moving forward with that. In a lot of ways, I was spoiled because now it's been 20 years that I've been studying personal development. So probably somewhere north of 30,000 hours of audiobooks and podcasts and,
Yeah.
then YouTube and, and all the different courses and everything else. But, but yeah, so I had a good base to start from and I had never done any education or, delved into, what narcissists were, narcissistic abuse, any of that. And so it was a whole new, wild, different thing, but I knew what to do, even though I didn't know what to do. And I went back into researching and learning and reached out to counselors and I was getting coaching, sometimes soon after that, but multiple different counselors and then lots of coaches. But a lot of what happened is I had to really coach myself through what I was going through so that I could present it to the counselor or to the
Mm-hmm.
coach in a way so that they could help me work through it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was pretty hard because I couldn't just show up and talk to them about whatever it was. I
Yeah.
had to present it in a way so that they could actually help me.
Yeah.
And
You had to become the specialist just so that way you could connect with the specialist.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the counselors were some help somewhat. The coaching is what really changed my life.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's what
I will 100% second that.
Yeah, yeah, that's what really moved the needle.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still difficult because most of the people just they didn't have and a lot of the coaching that I got was not trauma informed, whatever that actually means.
Okay. Yeah.
I know a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all a huge benefit to me.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel like then, but but it certainly is now because my clients don't ever have to do anything other than show up on a call and talk to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And so when you were going through that 14-year relationship, how, well, I have a lot of questions about that because
yeah.
there's I guess, how long were you in that relationship before you realized, oh, there's a problem here? Um, Before you even noticed that it was abuse, did you notice it was abuse? Like how did that show up for you?
Um, it was the last probably 6 or 8 months, maybe a little bit longer than that, but it
Okay.
was at the very end. There
Okay.
were literally years of my life that I spent thinking that I had no empathy or compassion. And
Got it.
so at one point, right towards the end of the relationship, I said something of that matter to one of my best friends, and I said, I'm ruining my family's life. I don't know what to do. I just don't have any empathy or compassion, and I think that's the cause of a lot of this.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I call F and BS on that. And that hit me like a 2 by 4. It was just, shattered the illusion in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point I started to question, well, maybe I'm not the only problem here.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started, diving into all of that research, and then found narcissism and a lot of that. and
Yeah.
and then it was probably 6 or 8 months, somewhere in that range, after that I was divorced. So
So it's interesting because a lot of times abuse is so subtle. And a lot of, and this just goes with some of my clients and experiences too. I've had a lot of people be like, well, if I was being abused, wouldn't I know? Nope, you wouldn't.
no,
You
no,
sure wouldn't. That's,
no.
yeah, I mean, that's why it happens so much because there's just not
Mhm.
enough information out there. But no, you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
times yeah,
And there's no education.
right.
Nobody really taught. I mean, emotional intelligence is like, what? Why would we teach our kids this? Why would we learn this?
Hmm.
It is just not. I wish I could say that it was more common, but it certainly is not.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too that I was gonna add to the fact that like, you talk about diving into self-help and healing and all those things, but like I think that that's what it took for me too. It took the very same, you know, undoing
Hmm.
and unlearning and then having to restructure my entire world. And so it's like you don't really I don't until you actually experience what that is, what a narcissist
Hmm.
is and what
Yeah,
how it tears you apart. You don't have any like concept of that really. Like it's just
yeah,
it's completely foreign. But then once it happens to you, you become the specialist. You do.
yeah,
Like you have
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Because now you have to be able to call it for what it is and point out the red flags and figure out like why these things are so subtle and why they're so damaging. And so you do become the expert.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, unfortunately, for most of the people that go through it. It's
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, it's awful. I'm actually really glad that not that you went through it, but that you are out on the other side of it and doing really well. Like you're thriving, you're
mm,
helping others, like you didn't let it completely destroy you because some people aren't that lucky.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, that do not. They just don't ever work their way out of it, and it was one of the early decisions that I choose love. I
Yeah.
just choose love over everything else, and I think I'm spoiled in a way, because I think that in a lot of ways it's part of my nature.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have to do as much work on that because it's just a part of
Yeah.
who I am. But it was still miserably hard to work my way
Yeah.
out. and
Yeah. And
and
when you were in that 6 to 8 month window towards the end, were there things that you were doing like secretly to like help yourself get a better foundation or get back up on your feet while you were moving towards that end? And maybe like some advice for others that might be in an abusive situation and need to figure out
Mhm.
steps to take if they need to get away.
Yeah, I, I mean, I reached out to a local agency. I actually, at one point, because I felt like I was crazy, I called the crisis hotline, and
Okay.
just because I was like, I don't know who else to call, and
Yeah.
I'm
Well, and that's what gaslighting does to you. It
yeah,
absolutely makes you think you're insane and you doubt
yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah. So I did that, and they referred me to a local agency, and I went and talked to them, and they said, I'm sure this is all misunderstanding, and you probably just need to go talk to your wife.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
And I asked them point blank, if I was a woman that had come in here, would you tell me the same thing?
Yeah, and they wouldn't
And
have, I'm sure.
well, what I have actually discovered, unfortunately, I wish that I couldn't say this, but I've discovered that in a lot of cases, yes, that's the same thing that they tell
Really?
women as well.
Go
Yeah,
talk to your husband.
yeah, this
Wow.
is just a misunderstanding.
Hmm.
And I've heard that from so many countless people that I mean, it just it's heartbreaking to me
Yeah.
that anyone is just pushed aside that way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Do you
but
mind if I ask, was there any physical abuse involved in your relationship?
there was there was maybe, I mean, got pushed into a wall, pushed into a door maybe a couple of times.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, she threw things at me
I mean, yeah, that's physical
occasionally.
abuse.
Yeah, but it wasn't all the time. It wasn't it wasn't a ton. It was, I don't know, a handful of times,
Yeah.
maybe, maybe as many as 5 or 10 times, including like throwing a bottle or something, not
Yeah.
throwing like pans or, anything big and crazy. So it felt less so
Okay.
because okay, plastic water bottle or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which is
but
still threatening in
yeah,
nature and it's
oh, for
still
sure.
not okay.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
went
absolutely.
through so my relationships, the last one, he had cut me with a knife. So
Oh.
I actually got assaulted, and there had been other abuse before that. But I, yeah, I feel like I was going to go somewhere with that, and I lost my train of thought. Um, oh, I was going to say I felt like I had the support when it was like physical abuse involved, but not
Yeah.
so much until it was physical abuse. And then
Yep.
even once it became physically abusive, um, it was. I feel like I remembered an instance where there was physical abuse. The officer asked me if I needed to file charges, which I did end up doing.
Hmm.
Um, and then another officer brought him back to the house after the fact. Oh, he lives here, but he didn't live there. Like he actually didn't, and put me in danger again. And it was a
Mm.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? Like, it was
Yeah.
insane to me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot to work through. And I think to finish with your question, as far as finding support, it was probably one of the hardest things.
Mm-hmm.
I really did not find much of any support anywhere from anyone
Yeah.
because even my friends that would be there for me were kind of all deer in the headlights, and
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't really reach out to a lot of people either. I see a lot of people I mean, the best case, I think, is to find other supportive people online.
Mm-hmm.
If, maybe you're lucky enough to find somebody locally, but for a lot of people, that doesn't seem to be the case. So,
Yeah. I was gonna say too, I felt like in the moments when I had I guess all of the experiences, including the
mhm,
physical, I remember thinking to myself so many times, that the mental anguish and destruction was
mhm,
so much worse than the physical shit. Like the cut
yeah,
just heals and goes
yeah,
away, right? Like,
yeah,
okay, cool, I've got a scar and
yep,
stitches, whatever, right? But
yep,
like bruises, black eyes, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like it heals, it goes away, but it's the mental
yep,
anguish and it's that part of it that just tears you to shreds.
yeah,
Absolutely tears you to shreds. And I also was in similar situations where I had no support. And
mhm,
actually, on top of not having support, I was even refused support from what I considered closer friends and family
mm.
because I know that you probably have a real good understanding of the victim shaming,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
And how it's the victim's problem and
mhm,
not as opposed to the
yeah.
narcissist
What
problem.
did we do to contribute to
Yes,
this situation?
yes, yes,
Which is,
absolutely.
yeah,
And I got all of
yeah,
that from my family.
yep,
Oh, you should make better decisions and blah, blah, blah. Like
yeah,
all the things, all the shame, all of
yep,
it.
yeah. Yeah, and it's really hard. It's one of the things that I experienced a lot with therapy and with coaching. If I did not present it to them in the right way, then a lot of times it's like, okay, well, what did you do here in this situation
Yeah.
in order to cause, this to happen?
Right. And so then they're
Yeah,
completely overlooking and bypassing the reasons why you feel like you have to defend yourself or get reactive or be pushed into a corner.
yeah,
They're overlooking all the gaslighting, all the coercive control and
yep,
control over money and how you're going to leave anyway. Like all of that takes a
yeah,
place, like all of it. And it just
yeah.
keeps you stuck in that environment and the abuse.
Yeah, yeah, and there's so much, it's never just I think anyway, it's never just the physical, it's never just
Mm-mm.
the mental, emotional, it's usually financial as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many layers, and being isolated from everyone as well.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah,
so
that too. I definitely went through that where I was isolated and shamed for, trying to have
mhm,
friends or trying to be with
yeah,
family. And let's not forget the sexual abuse too, because that gets
yeah,
thrown in there as well.
yeah, yeah,
It
very
it
much
it
so.
gets held over you or withheld or
Yep,
still forcefully, whatever it is, it
yep.
gets sprinkled in there as
Yep.
well.
Yep, shamed for not
Yeah.
wanting to,
Yeah.
shamed for wanting to
Yeah.
also
Oh,
on both sides.
yes. I had this is insane, but I was I guess I was about 8 or 10 years younger. I think I want to say I was maybe 33, he was 43 kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I was constantly harassed. Why don't you let me bring other women home to join us all the
Mm,
time? Harassed and then tortured and harassed and then tortured. And he was doing it anyway. But like
yeah,
I was constantly belittled, told I was a piece of shit wife because I should be making sure his needs are met. And that meant he could do whatever he want. All of it. So yeah, that shit gets thrown in there too. It's insane.
yeah, yeah.
Crazy stuff. Crazy
It's a lot.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some if somebody found themselves in a situation like this, what do you think are some abusive, like maybe subtle abusive signs that maybe get missed or even dismissed in the early stages?
I think, gosh, I think just dismissing the way that you feel
Mhm.
and they do it in such a way that is so subtle that you don't notice it. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of what I went through was there wasn't necessarily anything ever said about it. It was just in the little subtle ways that I was treated, and there was a lot of triangulation as well. And
I'm
especially if
actually
it's
glad you brought that up because I want to give people an idea of what triangulation is. So let's circle back to that when you're,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So and whether or not it's with other people
Hmm.
or if there are kids involved in any
Yeah.
way, shape, or form, that's because they really, I mean, they want to focus on destroying all of the relationships that you have with everyone
Mhm.
and everyone else's relationships too. So um, I think I think that the the difference, the different types of abuse and manipulation and everything, it's going to look so different. And I think that's one of the hardest parts about giving the different examples because then people equate, well, this didn't happen or that didn't happen or I'm not seeing, any of these things in my relationship, so I don't think that it's abuse.
Right.
And I think that one of the biggest things probably is that when you have any issues in your relationship and you go talk to your partner and it becomes this circular, well, apparently I did something wrong again,
Yeah.
and there's never any resolution. The
No, there's
problem's
never
still there.
accountability ever. It's
Yeah,
always
there's
shifting blame, shifting blame,
yeah,
shifting blame.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of times you don't even actually get to discuss whatever, the thought that I always had is, okay, so I have an issue that's in the relationship. I go talk to my partner and I leave the conversation very confused, really not understanding how everything is my fault. And she clearly articulated in many ways how everything was my fault.
Right.
And and so I felt crazy all the time,
Yeah.
and none of the problems were ever addressed. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things, which is a regular thing in most of those relationships. You never can have a conversation about what the actual issue is, because
Right.
it's always deflected,
Yep.
or the subject is changed, or why are we even talking about this, because you did this thing over here, or you're doing
Yeah.
this.
God, it's
It's
awful.
Yeah,
It
and
takes on
that's
that cyclical nature where it's just
yeah,
like you're just running in
yeah,
circles and getting nowhere. It's exhausting.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Ugh.
It's, yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on co-narcissism as opposed to just narcissism? Right? Like,
Hmm.
where people can take on the
Oh,
traits, right,
yeah,
from being in the right. So I just
yeah.
want to know what your thoughts are on that one.
Yeah, I think that definitely it's one of the things that we can do. It was one of the things that I was worried about when
Yeah.
I got out of the relationship, because a lot of times we use it as a survival mechanism, and so we learn to attack back in
Mhm.
very similar ways that they do, in order to protect ourselves.
Right. It becomes strategy at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time, because I'm much more of a flight or fawn, and so I didn't do many of those things. I just shut down, and drank too much a lot. That was,
Hmm.
certainly one of my major coping mechanisms during that time, which I think also didn't help, because then I also wasn't able to think clearly in order to really see, what was happening in the
Well,
relationship.
I'm not even sure you could have done that anyway, even if you weren't
Yeah,
drinking. But yeah, it definitely
yeah,
doesn't make it better. But to be fair, I mean, during those times in my life, I was putting needles in my veins.
yeah,
I was also coping
yeah,
the only way that I knew how. However, it was also a little
yeah.
pressured by the person I was with
Mm,
to stay
yeah,
drugged because he liked the fact that I was too fucked up to catch on.
yeah,
That was purpose.
yeah,
That was purposely done.
yeah,
Um, and then, so yeah, oof. So real quick, let's go over some of these terms. Like, are
yeah,
you okay with talking about triangulation, flying
yeah,
monkeys?
yep,
Let's go over some of
yep,
these because a lot of people might need to understand some of this stuff. So
yeah,
you want to start with triangulation because that's a great
yeah,
one. That's such a good
yeah,
one.
yeah. And I can give a little bit of a story example here.
Yes, let's do that.
Um,
Love that.
So two kids, and what the deal was that we all set up as far as the family goes, is that they were going to each do the dishes. I think 2 days, 2 days a week, something like that. And so clean the kitchen, wash the dishes, wipe the counters down, sweep and mop, and take the garbage and recycling out.
Okay.
And so then I would come in, and half of the dishes are actually clean. I mean, they're all they're all in the dish drainer. Nothing's wiped off. Garbage is overflowing. Nothing is really done except for half of the dishes ish, are clean. And so I say something about it, and it's like, well, why is nothing good enough? Why? I mean, they had a hard day. They're struggling, and so this continues to go on, and this is day after day. It's not just once in a while. This
Hmm.
is every time,
Yeah.
and the excuse usually is, well, they had a bad day. Why is nothing good enough
So
for
it's like
you?
weaponizing the parent.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then occasionally she would step in, and she would just read them the riot act, and force them to get all of it done, and get it all cleaned up, and completely, 100%. And so then again the next day, I come back in, and it's the same situation. And I'm like, hey, would you please go finish this? And so then the kid blows up, and then goes to mom, of course, he's mad at me about this, and then mom blows up, and why is nothing good enough for you? Why do you have to be so hard on them? And I'm like, wait a minute. So I don't understand here. I don't care what the expectation is. I just want to know what the expectation is. Do they have to do all of these things, or do they not? Well,
Yeah.
of course they have to do all of them. Okay, well, they're not doing all of them. Well,
Right.
you're being incredibly hard on them and unreasonable. They had a bad day. And so it was this continuous cycle of that,
Where
which
they bring
then,
the kids in and they weaponize
yeah,
you
yeah.
and yeah,
So the kids are against me because
right.
according to mom, I'm a terrible person,
Right.
and mom is saving them, even though mom is also abusing them,
Right.
because one of the major things is the only thing that the kids understand from this is the only expectation that I actually have is whatever mom says, whenever mom actually says that. And aside from that, I don't actually have to do anything. So they don't have any clear expectation at all. So anything that I ask for is unreasonable because I'm the unreasonable person.
Right.
And so it's a continuous fight of putting all of us against all of the rest
Well,
of us.
and then what is also taking place through that form of triangulation is
Hmm.
now um, parental alienation.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yes.
And also mom is the savior.
Yes.
No, mom is here to save us. She is the safe one. She's on our side,
Hmm.
even though occasionally she is also being really abusive.
Hmm.
So, so yeah, which the destruction of that with the kids is just because I'm an adult, and I know what it did to me with all of that, and I can't even imagine the destruction and what it takes to recover,
Yeah.
because there's I mean, most of the kids that go through anything like this, they're still under the illusion that whoever the narcissistic parent is their savior, and that's their safe
100%.
place.
Yeah.
And the other person is awful and terrible.
Well, and then what happens is that cycle repeats all throughout their childhood. So then they become adults with issues,
Yep.
and now they have the enabling
Yep.
parent, the enabler that's always, covering for them, excusing their behavior because,
Yep.
that's the cycle now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yikes. Flying monkeys.
Yeah. These and some of these people are narcissists, and some of them are not.
Mhm.
But they're the people that really side with the narcissist, and
Mhm. And
and
they'll
they
even attack you in the name of the
yeah.
narcissist. They'll come
Yeah.
at you.
Yep, yep. So they will attack you. They will destroy your reputation. They will
Mhm.
talk to other people about,
Mhm.
hey, I heard this was going on, and this is a terrible person,
Mhm.
attacking you, rather than the narcissist.
Yeah, it's like
And
absolute character assassination.
yeah, yeah, and there's and and I think some of the people, I think they sort of play along in order to stay out of the sights
A
of
hundred
the
percent. So they're
of
not
the
the target.
narcissist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
So they're
others
not.
actually enjoy what they're doing to help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yep. And that's it's probably one of the only times when narcissists like each other,
Hmm.
because they're gaining something from the other narcissist. And I think aside from that, narcissists are really good at spotting other narcissists, and they really do not like them
Hmm.
because it threatens
Yeah.
their illusion
Their
that they have
territory too.
created. Yeah,
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 absolutely. Yeah. I
yeah.
would agree with
So,
that. Speaking of that, I have something to add about we'll circle back to it about thoughts on how often a narcissist knows they're a narcissist. So we'll come back to that.
yeah.
Um, so coercive control, we can talk about that, gaslighting, stonewalling, and Darbo. These are the things I kind of want to touch base on if you're okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. I feel like these are definitely like bits of information that are so
Hmm.
important to go over because these were things that I definitely didn't know. You
Mm.
probably didn't know
Yeah.
when we were,
Yeah.
and then we had to become experts. So these are things that I feel like definitely check this stuff out. So
Yeah.
coercive control. You want to go over that one?
Yeah. Yeah. it's it is this is another subtlety in
Mm-hmm.
the ways. So and a lot of I had a lot of this happen where they don't ever say that you can't go have friends or hang out with
Right.
friends, but and they may not even really treat you poorly, but it changes the whole environment. And you just know that if you go hang out with your friends, if you have friends, if you talk to them, then it's just not going to be as happy at home.
It's not going to be
Or
pleasant. Yeah.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you
and
exercise the right of any individuality, you will pay for
yep,
it somehow.
yeah, yeah. So they don't they really don't directly, and I couldn't point out a point ever, except for me talking to women, because that wasn't okay.
Right.
But aside from that, I couldn't point out any time ever that I was ever told that I couldn't go hang out with friends.
Yeah.
But it was little things like I don't want to go, or I don't like to go hang out with those people. I'll just stay here. And of course, being a loving partner, you're like, well, I want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
So now I have to decide, do I want to leave you and go hang out with my
Right.
friends?
Right.
And so it's little subtle things like that, or yeah, not oh, I don't feel like being close to you now because we're not really connected because you've been gone. Um,
Hmm.
just little, and it may not even be that plain. They may not even say that. They're just like, meh, I'm not in the mood for sex, or I don't really, I just want to hang out by myself.
Yeah.
And so they punish you in little ways in
Hmm.
order to control your behavior.
Well, and another term for it is grooming, right? Like
Yeah.
when they're grooming you in these very subtle
Hmm.
ways.
Hmm.
Um, and another thing that they can include in coercive control is the money, right? So they
Yeah.
can be
Oh, yeah.
like, I know for me, in my situation, it was let me be the man, let me take care of everything, so that way I had no access to anything. I didn't know
Yep.
where the funds were going. I didn't
Yep.
know because I want to do the
Yep.
right thing and take this off your plate.
Yep.
And then it
Yep.
was never something I could access. And if I asked, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like
And
even
and
that.
it was different in my situation because I made the majority of the money. I was a truck driver then and made fairly good money, and so she took care of all the bills and everything. And so then I would ask, well, can we work on budgeting, this in, or can we sit down and talk about it?
Yeah.
And then she'd get mad and say, well, fine, you just do it all then. You just take care of it then. And I'm like, I mean, you do a great job at all of that. I just want to have a conversation. Can
Yeah.
we do that? Or, my boots are worn out and I need new boots so that I can go to work to make the money
Yeah.
to pay
Gotta
for,
keep it coming.
well, gosh, I don't know. Can you wait a little while? You know,
Yeah.
how long can you put this off?
Hmm.
Just little subtle things to make you feel like your needs are just such a burden.
Yeah.
It's such a burden for
Lord forbid
anyone.
you have basic needs met because then you're
Yeah,
the fucking devil.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Ugh.
yeah.
Gaslighting.
Yeah, yeah, gaslighting, that is such a
It's a huge
thrown
one.
around, yeah, and it's such a thrown around term right now. Anyone that is lying ever is
Yeah.
gaslighting.
Yeah.
And that is so not the truth. It is so not what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is really when it's not just the lie, but it's doubling or tripling down on the lie, and then it makes you question your own sanity and reality. And
Hmm.
so um, it's not, they call you a name or something, and and then you say, how dare you call me that? And they say, I I didn't call you that.
Or they say I was
What are you?
joking.
Yeah,
Like
and
even
that's
that,
and
that's a
that's
form too.
yeah, and that's partially, but it I feel like a lot of times it's doubled or tripled down.
Yeah.
So and it causes you to think you're crazy. So they'll say, I didn't say that.
I
you
have some good
why do
examples of
you
gaslighting.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but it's why would you think that I would say something like that? That
Yeah.
you're always crazy.
Yeah.
Why are you always coming up with these outlandish things that you say?
Yeah. So
That's
my husband's phone would get texts from women
mm,
and men actually, like they would respond to Craigslist ads that he had posted behind
mm,
my back and was having all kinds of affairs.
mhm,
And they would text his phone, and then I'd be like, "Hey, why are these people asking you to meet up and talking
mm,
about these sexual things?" Like, I don't know, bitch. It's probably a wrong number. Get off my fucking back. You're insane.
mm.
That's gaslighting.
Yep, yep, yep.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because you never actually talk about whatever the situation is. Once again, we don't have the conversation about whatever the problem is.
Right.
It's always put back on us and that we are
Yeah.
crazy.
Why are you always on my ass about something? Can I just come home and
Yeah.
have a nice evening without you in
Yep.
my fucking face? That's what I heard all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
those are good examples too.
Yeah.
Stonewalling.
Stonewalling, and this one is hard because I mean I suppose they all are, but stonewalling they just will not talk to you
Mhm.
about whatever it is. I'm not talking about this. I'm not going to have this discussion.
Mhm.
Really shutting down, and I think what happens a lot of times too is whenever we shut down, whenever someone is going through this we will shut down and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be giving them the silent treatment
Mhm.
or stonewalling them. And and so I just wanted to talk about this because there's a very distinct difference between somebody stonewalling you and us shutting down to protect ourselves.
Well, right. There's a
Because
difference
that's
between I
yeah,
need space from this so we can have
yeah,
a productive conversation
yeah,
and
yep,
stonewalling and withholding in order to make sure that there's zero accountability ever being
yeah,
met.
yep,
There's
yep.
definitely a difference.
Yeah, yeah, and I think because I have a lot of people that reach out that are like, oh my gosh, I was doing
Hmm.
this, and I'm
Hmm.
like, whoa, hold on, no, this is very different
So
because
different.
you shut down and you couldn't talk about it or you were frozen or whatever the situation was. That is not you stonewalling or or trying to avoid the conversation or accountability or any of those things. That's you protecting yourself. So,
Yeah, I would agree. Um, Darvo.
yeah. And I always have to remember,
I know, I
so
do too. It's deny,
deny
attack, reverse, victim, offender. Is
offender.
that what it
Yep.
is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I have to
So,
sit and go through it too. I'm like, yeah.
yeah, and that's, I mean, the example that you gave is really Darvo. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
The
that's what
gaslighting
that is.
example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
that's really what that is because
Hmm.
they deny what are you talking about? You're crazy is the
Yeah.
attack and then reverse
They turned the victim
reverse
into the
victim.
offend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Into the
why can't
offender.
I come home and
Yep.
just have a quiet night?
Yep.
And yeah, so that's what that looks like
Yeah.
a
It's
lot of times.
awful living like
Yeah,
that. It's
yeah,
just brutal.
yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think, is there any other ones that you can think of? Any other terms we should throw out there?
I don't think so. That it covers most of,
I think it's
yeah,
like the main one. So it's,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
trying to think. Oh, okay. I know. Um, am I a narcissist or not? Like how many times
Oh,
did you
yeah,
consider like think,
yeah,
oh my God, am I the narcissist? But
yeah.
we also know that a narcissist wouldn't know that they're a narcissist. They almost never um
Yeah.
take
I
accountability. It's almost like the sociopath that doesn't know they're the sociopath, right? Like it's very similar in that way. But the reason why I bring this up is because I've seen not had seen people go after other people online and being like, oh, stop throwing around the terms narcissist or narcissist that, and you're not a counselor, you can't diagnose. But the problem with
yeah.
that mindset
Hmm.
is narcissists aren't out there getting help. They don't even
Yeah.
realize most of the time that they have a problem. And the people that are getting help, the victims, the survivors, the
Mhm.
healers,
Yep. Yep.
have to become familiar with these traits and be able
Yeah.
to identify them and peg them for what they are. And then they still get shamed and go, oh, you're not a therapist, you shouldn't be throwing
Mhm.
that. But we
Yeah.
do have to do these things, and we do have to take on this information to have that awareness and spread it for
Yeah.
others. And so just becomes such a cesspool of nastiness, like for the victims and the people that are healing, and it's really awful.
Yeah. Um, I think so. So one of the things is with all of the different tendencies that we look at, narcissistic tendencies,
Hmm.
there are a lot of those tendencies that also line up with codependency,
Hmm.
with CPTSD, with
Hmm.
ADHD, with insecure attachment, but they are very different from the place that they come from.
Hmm.
So with narcissists, it always is control and power. And with all of the, all of the other, ADHD and codependency, all of those things, it's always to protect ourselves.
Hmm.
So all of but a lot of those things they all line up. There's a lot of
Hmm.
different, from the outside they look like narcissism.
Hmm.
And so that's one of the first things. And then the way that I differentiate is, do they have however many of the narcissistic tendencies, and then also, is there a lack of accountability, a lack of empathy and
Yep,
compassion?
that's the one.
and
Those are
and
the
that's
ones.
those
Yeah.
those three things. So accountability, empathy, and compassion.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I draw that line. But one of the other things that when I talk about this, it doesn't really matter. And I know that that's really hard for a lot of people, but it really does not matter if they are a narcissist or not. It's
Right.
whether or not the relationship is toxic or whether or not they are toxic.
Right.
And because one of the things that a lot of people will say is, well, narcissists can't change. And I agree with that. I
Okay.
think that there are some that can sort of kind of, but it's like going from a 90% to, a 60% maybe, over decades.
Yeah.
So they're less
So it
narcissistic
can
than
like lessen if they're lucky and get a
yeah. If
little awareness and
Well,
healing done. And
yeah, and if they're willing, and most of them are not willing,
right.
but every bit as much, especially with insecure attachment and a lot of other things, those people are not willing to change either.
Yeah.
They just are not. Avoidance,
Oh God, avoidance.
whether or not, yeah, whether or not it's dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidance, they just really are not. And I would say probably also with a lot of the anxious people,
Hmm.
most of the people are just unwilling to do the work.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't ultimately
Well,
matter.
that's because accountability and doing the
Yeah.
work go hand in hand. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So like,
and it's one of the things that makes it really hard, because especially with fearful avoidance, there is a lot of lack of accountability, and they will gaslight you,
hmm.
and Darvo as well. I mean,
Hmm.
they will do a lot of things that are from the narcissist playbook,
Yep.
but they are not necessarily narcissists, but also they're not willing to change either.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's one of the
so,
things we forgot, love bombing, because that's
yeah,
actually
love
one of
bombing.
those, that's a great one because a lot of them
Yeah,
come in love bombing and then pull back and, breadcrumb and love bomb. So those are
yeah,
things too
yeah,
that play
yeah,
into that. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's, love bombing is super confusing as well, because
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that will love bomb that are
Hmm.
not narcissists.
True.
And I mean,
Well,
narcissists
even like
do.
ADHD people do that, but it's not because they don't have empathy and they're a
Yeah.
narcissist. It's
Yep.
because they hyperfixate and they get so fucking excited. They're like, "Oh, you're
Yep.
awesome. Let me
Yeah.
come get to know you." Like, so it can
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
yeah.
And codependent people,
Hmm.
that it's like, if I give you enough, if I love you enough, if I show up for you enough, then maybe you will see that maybe I'm enough, and maybe I will
Right,
be
right.
lovable.
So it's like that
So
fawning.
so yeah, there are so many different situations that all look so much the same,
Yeah.
but ultimately, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter if they're a narcissist or not. It matters if you can have conversations about what's going on in your relationship, and you can actually move towards a healthier and healthier
Yeah. It's
relationship.
like the difference between, are these conversations productive? Is there
Mhm.
connection happening? Or are we
Yep.
completely dysregulated and nothing's
Yeah.
happening? Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
difference.
Is it the same conversation that we try to have over and over again and are
Yeah.
told we're crazy the whole time?
Yeah.
And I think, as far as, because you had mentioned, with narcissists not being aware,
Hmm.
and and I'm undecided on this. This one I'm unsure of, and I
Okay.
think that, um,
Let's
because
hear it. Let's hear why.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. So what makes this really hard, I think, is because narcissists they will burn the house down, and they will run everything into the ground, including their life,
mhm.
in not admitting to a lie or something they did or
Not
anything else.
flinch. Yeah.
Which, yeah, and it doesn't matter to them if they lose their job, lose their house, lose their vehicles, all of if they can destroy you, or whatever situation. So what I see in that is they're never going to admit that
Hmm.
they know that they're a narcissist if they are. So it's very hard to
Right.
tell if they actually know or not,
Yeah.
because they won't give that one up. That's probably the last one that they will give up. They would
Yeah.
admit to all the other things that they've done before that one,
Yeah.
because it's out them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm undecided on that one.
I think it's
Because,
a rare occasion, a very rare
yeah.
occasion when someone that's actually got narcissistic personality disorder is
Hmm.
aware of it, being treated, and going through all the
Yeah.
steps to
Yep.
better themselves. It's such a rare
Yeah.
occasion.
Yeah.
Um, because I would agree, it's just as rare for like a sociopath or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
it is extremely rare
Yeah.
that you have the ones that are actually trying to do something different.
Yeah.
Um, Man, and it is just so destructive. And listen, I want to just speak on my behalf, and maybe even yours. I don't want to, pretend to speak on your behalf, but I would like to say that like we don't I personally don't put this information out there to like be a dick to narcissists, because
Yeah.
everybody deserves to have healing and understanding. And no doubt they are that way for a reason. They've gone through their own emotional storms and traumas. And that
Yep.
is it's a tired, exhausted, hurt little child inside of them that has
Yep.
protected themselves this way for so long.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I can hold the empathy and the compassion for that. But at the same time that I can hold the empathy and compassion for that, as you can, we can still
Mhm.
spread awareness and be like, hey, but hey, there are these wolves out in the world. Protect
Mhm.
yourself.
Well, and nothing ever justifies abusing someone else,
No,
ever.
no.
There is no, we can understand
We
why
can
they're that
have,
way.
yeah, we can understand
We
it. We
can,
can go,
yeah,
okay, I see you, I
yeah,
get it, but
yep.
grow up,
But
like do the
yeah,
work. Yeah,
there is no justification or excuse for
absolutely.
abusing anyone else ever, period.
Right. Absolutely. I
Yeah,
100% get behind that.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so how can let's see. I feel like I already asked that. Oh, okay. So what is one piece of wisdom you would have liked to have shared with your younger self during those years after the
I
fact? Like
think
now, like if you could go back and give your younger self that piece of wisdom, what would it be?
I think the biggest thing, and this is the thing that I talk about probably every single day the most,
Okay.
um, is being kind to ourselves,
Hmm.
because we are so, and usually, I look at the narcissist in our life, usually is the tip of the iceberg,
Hmm.
and it's the end result of all of the other things that we went through in our lives that ended us up in the relationship with a narcissist. And most of the people that have gone through that, they just endlessly beat themselves up. And
Hmm.
I think that, being kind to ourselves is the most important thing of all. And and we're going to beat ourselves up then for
Yeah,
not
it's
being kind.
hard. Yeah.
but we're going to beat ourselves up for not being kind to ourselves then.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
what we'll become aware that, oh, I'm being mean to me. I'm not being kind to me right now. And
Hmm.
so then you beat yourself up for beating yourself up.
Yeah.
And so I know that everyone out there is going to do that. That is
Hmm.
what you're going to do. I would love to say, don't do that, but I
But
know
it's
that's
part of
where
the process,
it's,
unfortunately.
yeah, it's what we're all going to do. And
Yeah.
so, just taking a step back, take a deep breath and allow, because this is all something that we allow ourselves to do. And the way I talk about it is it's like a hug. When somebody comes in to hug you, you allow them to hug you, and they allow you to hug them. And this is what all of the healing, what being kind to ourselves, what forgiving ourselves, what all of these things, they all look very much the same way in that way. It's all allowing. And so we can't beat ourselves into healing. We
Yeah.
cannot, beat ourselves into forgiving or moving forward with our lives or getting over it or any of the things that people say that we should do.
Yeah.
It's all allowing.
Yeah.
And so, allow yourself to be kind to yourself,
Yeah.
even when you are beating yourself up.
Yeah, because and it's hard. It's hard to
Yeah.
remember to allow and be patient with the process because you've already been suffering for so fucking long. So you're
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my God, when is the end?" Right? Like
Yeah.
when does this ever have a light at the end of the tunnel? And so it's really hard to stay
Yeah.
in that grief process, but you have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard stuff.
Yeah.
So where can our viewers find you the easiest? Like where, I mean, I'm gonna put all the stuff in the show
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's probably the main, and it's at Kyle Miller Coaching. But KyleMillerCoaching.com. You can get a hold of me there. You can schedule calls. The consultation is always free, and I'm happy to talk to anybody at all whatsoever.
Yeah. No, and I'm
Um,
so glad I finally got you on here. I was like, as
yeah,
soon as I saw your content, I was like, oh, I love this guy. He's my favorite. So I couldn't wait to
thank
get you
you.
on here. So I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so much. Appreciate
absolutely.
that.
Do you have any last words that you want to share, or are we good to say goodbye? Like, how do you want to?
Yeah, yeah. I really, I just really want to reemphasize the kindness.
Okay.
I know, and I know how hard that is. But it is probably the most important thing, the most essential thing, of all.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, allow yourself to be kind to yourself, and allow a little kindness in your life too.
Yeah.
It's another one of those things. We don't want to let other people be kind to us because we're not being kind to ourselves.
Right.
And so,
So it's
yeah,
like practice
it's
receiving.
it's it's practice, and it's a process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we just get up every single day and make the attempt again.
Yeah. No
So,
truer words.
yeah.
Well, thank you again, Kyle. I'm going to end it
You're
here. So we'll
welcome.
tell
Thank you
everybody
so
goodbye.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, you guys. See you next
Bye.
time. Thank you for joining Own Your Essence. I am beyond grateful to our guests for sharing their wisdom and to you, our listeners, for being part of this journey toward healing and empowerment. If today's conversation resonated with you, please feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this space with others who might need it. If you have questions, topic ideas, want to be a guest, or would like to work with me privately, send an email. I'd love to hear from you.